YouTube, I'm back. If you're watching my channel in real time, you know I just did a video on the Oakland A's and their trade of a pitcher for an outfielder, and there was so much going on in this afternoon between the two teams that I cover and love the most. So a busy day. This one, though, this day to be expected by the San Jose Sharks as free agency opening up across the NHL, and they were busy. A goalie, forwards, and building their team clearly in a direction of veterans for here and now to solidify and complement what they already have, as well as, and I want to make this point, you look at cap space for the Sharks right now, and excuse me because I realize the font is hard to read and it's small on your screen probably, but San Jose still with $6.2 million in projected cap space even after all of these three moves were made today. Before I dive too deeper into anything else, just like to ask that, hey, since you're here, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm really trying to grow this thing out, make a platform for you and I to have these deeper level conversations and discussions about what's going on. And YouTube is a perfect place to do it. One of the only places to do it in this day and age. It's good for that. Also, if you end up liking this video, throw me a thumbs up. That'll help other people see this video later on. But as for the three acquisitions, I suppose we ought to just dive right in. So how about this? So far, as I'm doing this live stream, across the NHL today, 104 signings of free agency, 211 total contract years. You can see the total cap hit and contract dollar amounts. That's a lot of money, even for 211 NHL players. Let's quickly go back to the future with James Reimer. I mean, I'm glad to see him back, and I understand that a day after Martin Jones departs, it is kind of nice to fill this void. And how weird was that, right? Martin Jones's first season in San Jose, the Sharks brought in James Reimer for that playoff push, and he was spectacular, honestly, in a very small sample size with San Jose being a backup. But this is exactly the kind of player that you're looking for, the presence that he can give the group. A known commodity, a guy that was drafted, 99th overall back in the 2006 NHL draft, 11 years in this league. Yeah, there's those 8 games with San Jose. Played most of his games in Toronto, and you can see kind of his numbers here are, pretty understandable the entire way through. A 283, a 285, a 266. And yeah, he did, better in a shorter time with San Jose, but a 913 career save percentage and a 279 goals against. James Reimer's deal is reported at 2 years, $2.25 million. And by the way, this is one of the hardest things about keeping up with all this is the fact that I need the I need the cheat sheet right there to show me exactly how much everybody's making. And by the way, you do see the name Martin Jones on here. I do want to talk about him in just a second with my chicken scratch handwriting. But 2 years and $2.25 million for James Reimer in San Jose. And let's be honest, I think he's going to get a chance to play a lot. I know they think highly of Adin Hill, and I think they're encouraged by both of the options that they have right now. So good signing, good maneuver. Glad that San Jose had their eyes on a veteran netminder, and they locked one of them up. All right, speaking of Sharks again, yeah, Nick Bonino was drafted by the San Jose Sharks, and that's what made his goal, his unforgettable goal at the end of that game in Pittsburgh as part of the Stanley Cup Final, so devastating because a player that came up with San Jose, drafted by them, threw one of the knockout punches back in 2016 in the Stanley Cup Final. But as for Nick Bonino, I think being a 2-time Cup winner says a lot. Having played for a handful of different teams says a lot. Mostly Anaheim, a little bit with Pittsburgh, enough to understand them. He's been with Nashville. He's been with Van for a very short period of time. And we saw him last season with the Minnesota Wild in that shortened campaign, of course, when Minnesota was part of that same division, that Western division as the San Jose Sharks. But clearly, in the way that, the goaltending scenario now seems settled for San Jose, now you're getting a Nick Bonino, who, by the way, signed a 2-year, $2.05 million per year deal. So you're getting good prices on all three of these players. Reimer at $2.25 a year, Cogliano at $1 million for 1 year, and Bonino for 2 years at $2.05 million. 55 games played for him last year. produced 26 points, 10 goals in 55 games. And, where do I see him slotting in with San Jose? Remains to be seen, but a centerman who is going to give you depth. If you have Couture and you have Hurdle down the middle, now you add a Bonino and you're that much stronger down the middle. And I also think, too, it's clear that the direction the team has gone here in acquiring the goalie that they needed, but also a couple forwards. Look, the Sharks on the back end are right now contractually established. There's players they have under the cap that they're going to play, and they are settled on the blue line. But it was really up front where I think they needed to solidify with depth and experience and a player just like this. And let's be honest, the contract itself seems very team-friendly. 2 years for $2 million a season for a veteran like this who's got, 681 NHL games under his belt, won 2 cups. This adds you another known commodity. I really do feel like that is the theme here of all these players. Known commodities. The Sharks had been taking chances on younger players, giving them opportunities over the years. And in the last several seasons, that hadn't really benefited the team here and now. And it also hadn't really shown to benefit the team over time. And then last but not least here, I'll make my way to Andrew Cogliano, who has a handful of experience in this league, to say the least. Just passed 1,000 games last year. Or no, I guess it was 2 years ago with the Dallas Stars. Forgetting as the years go by here. But Cogliano, obviously another player who can line up down the middle, can be a winger if you want, shoots left, 34 years old. Known commodity in his career of 410 points in those 1,000-plus games. And last year, yeah, maybe a bit, slower in the production, just 5 goals in 54 games. I'm again throwing a lot of stock in what happened with everybody out the window last year, just because of the nature of the season, the way things went. But again, 3 established players in this league that are going to give you depth, that are going to give you something to expect on a nightly and on a regular basis. I also want to point out, as I go back to the cap-friendly page, by the way, this is such a great resource. They update it in real time, especially on a day like today where there's just so much going on. They give you a great visualization here of players, forwards, defense, goalies, how that all shakes out here, and their contractual status, how long they're with the team. But this kind of paints a picture for you right now that the Sharks have 13 forwards locked in for about $40.5 million, 6 defensemen at $30 million, and right now Hill's contract situation for next year remains to be seen. But so the Sharks are only tied in for $2.25 million for Reimer at this point. Obviously, that's going to go up a little bit, and I suppose that's going to change their overall $6 million estimated cap space. But the point is that there's still something right now. There's still some flexibility right now, even going into the season, if they're not done today, to make a trade that would either create cap space or use some of it. There is some flexibility there. So I also want to say, let's talk about this before the video concludes. But I am not surprised that Martin Jones signed a 1-year deal with the Flyers, $2 million. I said yesterday right here on this channel that sooner than later, based on his track record, his playoff performances, that somebody was going to give him that opportunity. I think the change of scenery for him is going to do well and do best for him. And I also think the Sharks moving on to Adin Hill and James Reimer, it gives you a clean slate, gives you something to reestablish with from your team defense perspective and from goaltending. So I like this. I like what the Sharks did. I like that they're adding. I still think that this team probably has another wow move somewhere in the near future or down the line. They need to do something potentially to spark and energize this team. And maybe we don't see it until in season, until the year has started. I don't know. But I'm expecting that the face of the team might change a little bit still. And I don't have any. I know you're looking at me saying, well, what do you know? Name some names. I hate doing that. I really do. I don't like to over speculate, or I don't like to come out of this looking completely wrong, because let's be honest, none of us are in Doug Wilson's head. But I'm still envisioning that one more move gets made sooner than later with this team that changes the shape of who they are and hopefully what they can accomplish in the near future. Again, though, I like these additions. I'm glad the Sharks were active today, and I hope we see a little bit more activity in the time to come. One more reminder, since you're here, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up if you like this video. I just want to keep bringing you more good content here on YouTube, and the only way that really is going to happen is to build a bigger base, and I'm so focused on that right now. So thanks so much for being here. I will talk to you soon, and let me know what you think of all this in the comments section below. See ya.